just glass.
Welcome to the show, guys. You're just joining us as Ray begins to kill the magic, telling everybody that the glasses are just standard glass. They're there for the when you need to look intelligent and you've not got any visual issues whatsoever. Your vision's
He's a good looking man, isn't he? Good looking man.
It can be a good look though, you know. You can go out and look like you work in some field of science, and you just
you look a lot like Jeff Hale there. I don't know, it's a bit scary.
Hey, Jeff Hale is like super brainy, super intelligent guy, and strong as balls.
Oh yeah,
he's remarkable, isn't he, Jeff? Really?
Oh yeah.
Dude can arm wrestle. Not got many leverage advantages, let's be honest, you know.
Oh, he's just a bull. He's smart, he's technical, and
I've never I want to. I'd love to have just some training time with him, just to
brilliant, mate.
Where we're at.
Very deep thinking lad, really knows how to use the weapons at his disposal. I mean, one of my favourite, I'm going to be honest, one of my favourite arm wrestlers of all time. He's one of those guys that takes abuse, but I have no idea why. We'll intro the show in a minute, guys, but we're off. So.
Yeah, his performance at WAF 2019 was just amazing. Like, it's so hard to transition from WL to back to WAF on the highest level. He had some amazing matches. The switch up when he understood his hook is dead, he's just like, I'm gonna just top roll, and then amazing. I love the dude.
I mean, the battle with I think it was the Georgian that he had the really long. Was it the Georgian or the Russian where he lost his wrist and ended up coming back in the press? That was a great match. Absolute cracker. You know, he had some battles, and that. Let's be honest, that weight class.
The King's Move versus Belarusian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 75
that weight class, mate, is iron. Always has been. Throughout, if you look at the history of the 75 kilo weight class at the WAF Worlds, mega. I mean, there's just been so much. I'd go to the World Armwrestling Federation events and sit down at 8 a.m. and sit through till friggin', 11 o'clock at night.
75 kilo class is usually 4 hours. 3-4 hours.
No, it's 8.
Yeah.
It's like a soap opera. You'd see it unfold and the twists and the turns and who'd end up coming out on top. Just so exciting every year. Or at least it was for a geek like myself who I could just watch it forever. Anyway, enough of my rambling garbage. Welcome to the show, guys. Episode number 7.
Oh, there it is.
If you haven't subscribed now, you're gonna do it right now, or Ryan's gonna beat you. This is why we have Ryan here.
I call you out.
Yeah, Ryan's going to call everyone out who hasn't subscribed to the channel. Like the video.
You're doing a lot of travelling, right? To be honest. I'll say on to that.
Well, not enough right now.
Episode 7, guys. And we were just getting down a path about which is more important, strength or prowess. And I know that, Ryan, I wanted to bring it to you first of all, and then I'm going to go to Ray to talk about 2 lightweights as we kicked off the show with lightweights, and we'll talk about this excellence in arm wrestling versus strength. So, Ryan, first of all, your own experience close to home, skinny guy, Jordan Davis.
Skinny guy is a great example of prowess. The ratio of prowess to strength in him is definitely well and truly in the prowess factor. He started in the sport. I met Jordan when he was still 18 years old, and he was the weakest looking human I've ever seen in my life. Legit so weak. He'd just come out of a broken arm cast, and famously Jordan could reach, his index finger and thumb could touch around his forearm. So, that shows you that it was basically bone, all that was there, where he started from. And as you know, he's tall, he's long, he's lanky, he's got a big long hand. His actual elbow to fingertips the same as Devin Larratt, despite him being a lightweight. And he didn't have confidence for a long time, that he could ever be anything. He just his brother actually paid him $50 to come to his first ever arm wrestling session at my place, because I was actually coaching Jordan's brother. But Jordan, through the process of this, discovered that, he was never going to win through strength. It wasn't his thing. And so he slowly was developing a sense of how to lose slower, And he discovered how to lose slower with very technical, fine movement. And the product that came from that is, for me, I think that Jordan is, I feel like, and this is something that the collective Australian arm wrestling scene believes. We all believe that Jordan has the most potential out of anyone in the arm wrestling scene in Australia, long term. Because,
apart from Danny Tesh.
because Jordan has such an ability to react in a very minute manner that we all say, if he ever does get strong, we're all screwed. And he's starting to. I don't know if you saw the most recent video. He pulled out 60 kilos of side pressure. So he's starting to get strong, which is the scary thing. And he's going up to the middleweight class. And anyone that has that degree of prowess that then gets strong, to me, to me, that's a complete arm wrestling. I think you need both.
Now then, another guy that deserves massive respect and gets massive respect for his technical ability, cerebral approach to the sport, and genuine understanding and well-roundedness is the Jedi, Giannis Amelins. The guy is some dude, lives friggin' Sarsfields.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about right there, mate. And, let's be honest, Giannis can arm wrestle. Giannis can pull. Now, what people won't necessarily be aware of it, and I get a little bit frustrated with this because I do hear it quite a lot, and I hear this, people will say, oh, Giannis is a really good arm wrestler, but he's not that strong. And I'm like, he's really, really strong. Oh, he's not that strong. No, now, set the record straight here, mate. Is Giannis Amelins strong?
Strong AF.
Yeah. Man is strong. Just
He's
because
so
you
strong.
see, oh my God, he's strong. I mean,
people keep forgetting that he's all the time. He hasn't changed for 15 years. He's 74 or 78 max. I have never seen Giannis bigger. And they're like, oh, Giannis looks big, and he's the same. He's always ripped. He eats clean. He lives clean, and that's what he is. And he trains hard, and he's so strong. Like these. Doesn't matter what's the movement. Giannis will be in top 3 in every lift in the gym. And we have Vlad, we have Raimonds, Antonovic, myself. It doesn't matter because everyone shines in their different way. Giannis will be right there with everyone. So whenever we're talking about the greatness in Latvian arm wrestling, we would say Raimonds is ultimately the best we ever had. Thompson's Raimonds. We would say most technical is Raimonds. The biggest prospect is Vlad, and overall best, well-rounded is Giannis. So he's smart, technical, strong, and very, very knowledgeable. And he lives and breathes arm wrestling. It's for past all this quarantine, we're basically training together whenever we can. So we just set it up and we just do. And it's either going to be what I want to do or what he wants to mix it up, and it doesn't matter. And it's we keep pushing each other, and it doesn't matter what I feel I'm good at. Jan is going to beat me there. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And he's super strong. And people keep forgetting he's lightweight. And it's not just coming back to what we talked about in the last episode is this super strength, just lifting these 150 kilos, 40 kilos, doesn't matter. Giannis thinks about longevity in most lifts, and he's like, well, this is enough for this to be outstanding, but if my rotation doesn't hold, doesn't matter how much I can do this with this style. So that's a little bit of Giannis thinking. And he's strong, he's knowledgeable, he doesn't have the biggest hand, he's anthropometrically, he's just like average dude. He's strong, but it's hard work throughout the years. Never stops, no days off,
He is an athlete, is what it is. The man is an athlete.
Yeah. I beat him in a beach sprint. He came to Australia last year. And,
I saw how you beat him in a beach sprint. You're a cheater.
Hey, I think he was out of his league. He didn't quite know what was going on, but I'll take it. I am taking it. I beat that man in a beach sprint with my dad bod and everything.
Are we talking about Rocky 3? You know, top vest, 70s shorts, knee socks.
Pretty much. It was facing the sand, facing the other way. It was first man to the thong at the other end, and yeah. But aside from his lack of ability in beach sprint, the man is a weapon, undeniable. Every time I've gripped him, his wrist up back pressure. And when I say every time, I've never had a ready go. I've always been training, but every time his wrist up back pressure feels like iron, and it's just like what do I do? What do I do with this? It's intimidating. He's very, very strong every day of the week.
It's nice to see that Giannis has had a little resurgence of late as well, because for one of the guys who's in some respects a bit of an old guard, pulling out, he's been around for a long, long, long period of time. You know, he's floated in and out of the sport in terms of his commitment level to arm wrestling, or how hard he was pursuing it. But this last year, he looked like he was right there again. He looked like he was really having a run at it.
He wanted to go back to WL. We all know he needs to have the championship match, and he was like ready. You know, all this. He's like, so
it was coming.
We have more time to train. Yeah. I'm like, when they gonna call? I'm like, call him by yourself. Just call him. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. We need to have this match. Giannis, I need to come back to this thought about the WL. We had this talk, and I want to bring it up. But my opinion, some of the hardest working guys are these lightweights, because most of these lightweights are not thinking about just beating their class. They're thinking about beating overall. And you look at the same, Daniel Prokopchuk right now is putting out amazing videos. If you're his style of puller, he puts out the great content. And if you look at the weights that he's lifting, and I will not say he transfers everything to the table, because I know how he arm wrestles, and he just he end up in a little bit worse positions than he trains from. But the strength level of this guy who's 74, maybe 76 right now, I don't know, but amazing. It's most of the heavyweights or 100 kilo guys can't even match that. And he was in Ukraine about a month ago, where there was Pushkar's Cup. He got second place in overall. You know, that says a lot. Yeah.
Daniel's a very, very impressive young man. And he is only young as well. That's the thing. He's nowhere near realised his potential, and yet he's got great wins. I mean, he's beaten guys like
World Champion, European Champion.
Yeah. I mean, beating Mindy's mega, because Mindaugas is a bad man. Let me tell you now, that guy.
Question for you guys that might be a little off the beaten track here, but one observation that I have about the stars that come out of Europe and the stars that come out of North America is the age. North American stars are mid-20s to early 30s, and North American stars are 40s to 50s. Why is that, and why don't we see many Europeans go on to be people like Engen Jersey, obviously exception? But why don't we see many 50-year-old European stars?
You know what? I actually think there's plenty of them. I think there's a lot of them out there, but I do think that, I think that, people talk about the Masters World Championships, and I mean this with the greatest of respect, right? Because I am a master. I'm obviously 46 years old, but you got a situation where, cue Ryan, you, nearly fell off his chair laughing at that. He's like, be dead in a bit, But joking aside, I know, Raimonds, I will. But the situation is that there are some really, really strong masters out there. There's some guys that are very, very powerful. Obviously you've got a couple in Latvia, Raimonds, but there are also, I think in North America, I believe there's a tremendous amount of untapped talent. And I think the more money that comes into the sport, I think you'll see guys emerge in North America that are easily as good as anyone in the world. And I genuinely believe that.
That are younger?
There, any age group, mate, but particularly the younger guys. Because I think it's recognition and attitudinally. I think that's the biggest thing. Attitudinally, in North America, the sport is not given the same profiling as it is in many. Culturally, it's not given the same recognition that it certainly in Eastern Europe. I think strength sports generally command more recognition and more respect, and whereas in North America, even in the UK, it's more about football, more about ball sports, more about things like that. That's where the recognition is, and I do think that if there was a lot more, very similar journey to the way that you saw with UFC, I think if you've got a lot more money comes into the sport, you will see athletes come from North America that you never knew were there, but are ridiculous. I have no doubt whatsoever that those guys are there. Here's the thing, though. Like back in the day, you have to have a situation where Mexico would produce unbelievable fighters because of the way of life out there, the way that the sport was perceived, and also that hardship that people were. So a lot of the poor environments used to bring up mega fighters because there was sort of a mindset to it. If you're living in difficult circumstances, your day-to-day is a struggle. Your day-to-day existence is a fight. You become hard. You become tough. You become conditioned to that mindset that you need to be an exceptional fighter. I do think, in some respects, any sport where, you're dealing with the Iron Snake, where you're dealing with weights, where you're dealing with the pursuit of physical damage. And let's be honest, if you're under any illusions that arm wrestling doesn't damage you physically in the same way that strongman and things like that do, you're living in a bubble. You definitely you have to go through the pain to get to the highest levels of arm wrestling. I know Devon says now that he wants that situation where he doesn't push his body that hard, but I'm talking about the actual match. You have to go to the edge. And Devon definitely does that when he's on the arm wrestling table. Forget preparation. On the day of the match, if you have to go there, you got to go there. And Devon speaks a lot about, he'd break his arm, and is he prepared to do this? Is he prepared to do that? Most of the great arm wrestlers, the guys that have really reached the top of the sport, are obsessive to the point of destruction where it comes to their own bodies. They'll push as hard as they need to push. And I think there's a mindset there. And I think that a lot of the Eastern European arm wrestlers, the best arm wrestlers that I've met from Eastern Europe, they have that mindset. They've got that regimen, that work ethic, that professional approach to the sport of arm wrestling. They don't see it as a fringe sport. They see it as a life choice. And from my own experience, in order to get to the top, people have often said, you can't win in arm wrestling without steroids. I know you can. I know you can because I've done it. And I'll argue that all day, every day with anyone. I've done it. What you can do, if you have got all the gifts that you require, if you've got the ability to do it, and you've got the mental focus, aptitude and commitment. And in my perspective, I used to have massive arguments with my family. My dad used to be on my case all the time, saying that I was obsessed with arm wrestling. That was the word he used. I probably still am to some extent, but nothing like when I was a kid. He'd be always, you're obsessed with arm wrestling. You put arm wrestling above everything, above your family, above everything. You do nothing else. 7 days a week. We'd go on holiday and I was following a strict diet. We'd go on holiday and that night I'd be there. I'd take equipment to train my hand and wrist when I was going on holiday. Fact. That's what I did.
I know the feeling.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's that 24/7 approach. And I do think that that's more readily available in Eastern Europe.
I think this is the great argument in Kazakhstan. The guys, it's the way out. If you're a national team and you get in top 2 places, you get money, you get paid, and you get paid all the year. So it's their way out, and they're fighters. So this is why they are so tough in junior level and senior level. Doesn't matter. Kazakhs are crazy, strong, crazy good because it's way out. Like North America, they have more options. If you're a good athlete, you're a strong dude, everything, you can play baseball, football, doesn't matter. You have options where there's a lot of money, you know. Arm wrestling, if we keep growing, every country will have outstanding athletes.
Yeah.
Every country.
I mean, that you make a good point with the Kazakhs because, you know, you look at some of the guys there. I mean, Georgie Zaranov, what an animal, the 110 WAF champion of the world. He never gets in the conversation about how good he is. My God, that man is strong. Strong. I would love to see him against a lot of the leading super heavyweights in the world. Because you watch his performance. Phenomenal in WAF 2019 in Lotoshino with right arm. Who can stop Zaluyev and just like wait for 30 seconds and then crush his ass. Mate, when I was watching that, I was making notes. That is a bad man. All I was thinking is, I hope this guy speaks good English because let me tell you, so impressive. Yeah. I mean, what a monster. I could put him to so many matches. Oh, dude. And he destroyed Matushenko in 2019 WAF with both arms. And easy. Matushenko is a real deal. He's so strong, so good with all the Russians right there. He looked phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah, Zaranov ran through him.
It's very interesting. Very interesting to look at the psychology of what makes a champion. You get countries like Kazakhstan. You said that it's a way out. It's a way out of poverty, potentially. Way out for a family. I know countries like China, historically, with a population as big as that, the cream that rises to the top of a country like that is amazing. And I know they've just started in the arm wrestling world. Their government is, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they're now government is involved in arm wrestling and sponsoring arm wrestling. So I feel like in 5, 6, 7 years we're going to see Chinese people, particularly in the lightweights and the females, starting to be dominant, because for them to get that Chinese support from the government, they've got to be number 1 or number 2. And can you imagine from a country that big what that produces?
Talent pool? Wow.
Yeah. Where Australia, like my reasons, as you say, my reasons for becoming an arm wrestler are not to get out of poverty. It's just because I love being a competitor. So it's a totally different psychology as to why someone in my position pursues that elite level versus Kazakhstan. And yeah, when you like you say, when it comes down to the fight, the psychology of someone who's come from the hardship versus my position, it's different, isn't it? It's very different.
It's another thing I have always said. Just look at podiums it's either extraordinary great athletes from one country who are very smart, very technical, very good on everything. Either it's from these countries where it's a little bit undeveloped and it is the way out, where they got money, like it's Russia, Ukraine gets paid, Georgia, Kazakhstan, and then on the other spectrum, we have athletes that have basically everything, like Sweden, and the guys just cannot make it. Yeah. Girls, on the other hand, who wants to beat every guy they arm wrestle with, they get there because they have a little bit different mentality on it. And I think the more comfortable you get, softer you get. And it happens with everything, in every athlete. This is why great boxers usually fall very, very high, because just they are so used to this hardship, and then they get super comfortable, and they're like, you know.
Well, Jack Dempsey, okay, who's my all-time sporting hero. Since I was a kid, my dad, my grandfather used to tell me stories about Jack Dempsey. And if you ever read the life story of Jack Dempsey, hard man. Oh my God! You know, he came from a large family. He used to ride in the rods. It was called. He didn't have any train fare, so he'd go state to state. Bearing in mind the dude was traveling to bare knuckle fight. Okay. When he was a teenager, we're talking 14, 15 years, he'd go into mining towns, western mining towns. You can imagine the dudes that you get there, yeah? They're hard. And he would travel underneath the train. They used to have rods underneath the train. He would literally lie on those rods and travel state to state then get off the train, go into the mining town, walk into a bar, and say, I'll fight any son of a bitch in here. For money.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hardest thing you can get.
Yeah. Now, he famously, I mean, you hear about it now, people like say, oh, Marvin Hagler said that, misquoted. He originally said in the 1920s that it's hard to get up and go running at 5 a.m. when you're wearing silk underwear. That was one of his original comments about the way that he changed when he lost fights later in his career against Gene Tunney. And he said, yeah, obviously, you change, you transform. I'm not in a situation now where I can be under any pretense to be that mindset anymore. And if you've been bred like that all your life, that's what you've done. And then all of a sudden, you've got to try and transform yourself into a very different type of individual. How can you possibly do that?
Yeah. Hard.
Sounds like there's
hard.
information going on in the background there, too.
Yeah, that's just my sons getting their evening, their mother saying, lads, you got to have a bath and go to bed. Now, my son he doesn't like bed. That is illegal. And you probably heard him clearly shout, you're not the boss of me. And I think he actually...
Come up.
Hey, literally, he was throwing down some Jack Dempsey's right there on his mother.
Yeah. But it's true.
Actually distracted a bit as he landed a vicious left hook. But anyway.
Honestly, like, I admire that. And not only in sport, but in life. The most influential people in the world came from hardship. They really did. They really did. And sport is no exception to that. And, for me, I guess I consider myself blessed that I'm constantly never satisfied with my own competitive nature. I just want to keep on. I'm safe to say, like, deep down, I want to be remembered as one of the greats of the sport. That's what I want to get to. And if I don't get there, fair enough. But that's the drive in my head. I just like, well, I just love this so much that's what makes me keep training. That's what makes me keep pursuing it. And it'd be very easy to become. I've seen so many people in the Australian arm wrestling scene that were on par with me stop because they became satisfied. Stop because they became satisfied. Different people, and only Jordan and Lachlan are the only two other guys in the country that I've seen yet to become satisfied. They're all still pushing, but so many others have parked the car and said, "Yeah, that'll do."
Yeah, I mean, it'll all play out in the long run. You're in a unique situation. Funnily enough, after your comments on Herman Stevens called me a couple of days after and explained his circumstances. And it was largely around what we were talking about there. You know, he's got a very young son, a lot of distractions at work and so on. And that's pretty much, you know, it speaks back to what I was saying a moment ago. It's around priorities. It's around where you view it, the priority of sport in your life, your pursuits in sport. Where does it rank in your life? How important is it to you? Your time in life, your status in life. For me, my peak was cut short through injury. But I know that in my early 20s through to sort of early 30s before I got injured, that was when I was 110% driven and focused on that and nothing else. I'm going to be honest with you. When my son was born, my eldest son, I wouldn't have been that guy. Wouldn't have been that guy. Not going to say that I would. So it's there's a lot of things you've got to consider. And I think that's where you look to the answers in who's at what level in the sport and what their own personal perspectives are in that respect. My God, that's deep. And with that, guys,
yeah. Oh man, that's deep. So deep.
Yeah, it's so goddamn deep. Guys, we've been on for another 29 plus minutes, and I think, look at that forearm on Coach Ray, eh? He got in early with that one. Oh, there it is. That's probably out of shot. You'll be taking loads of abuse for this. Now he's narrowed it in.
Feel the thickness of that wrist these days. Gee.
Yeah, I wonder if Brendan is watching.
He's watching for sure. He's trying to get every grain of salt from me that he can. He's that nervous.
It's going to happen. 6:01. Once we get out of this global lockdown rubbish. Oh, how it is on. Ladies and gentlemen, wraps up show number 7. We hope that you didn't fall asleep with the depth that we went to in that show. Listen, guys, joking aside, send us in questions if you want us. If you send us in questions, let us know what you would like to hear about. Write to Ray, write to Ryan, send it to myself, even put it in the comments. We will pick it up. And we will be back and address those questions. Guys, on a personal note, hope you and your families are staying safe and well as we go into an additional few weeks of lockdown. And if you like what you see, please do like the video, share it. Please subscribe, guys. And we will be back very, very soon with these two monkeys to walk through more stuff right here on The Fix.
How you doing? Yeah.